Welcome back to the weekly segment, in case you missed it. And in case you missed it, we're moving these videos to Thursdays because of my college schedule. So no more Mondays, Thursdays. But yeah, we're back. We're ready to go. So let's get right into this video. Kyle Kuzma needs to not post on Twitter about teams anymore because a while back he commented on the Pistons. And then they hosted the Pistons and proceeded to lose. So, as someone that loves reading NBA players' tweets, I'm revoking his privileges for the rest of the season because you can't talk about a team being historically bad and then make fun of them and then lose to them. And then you lost your next 4 games, and since the last time I recorded a weekly recap, you're 0-5. So yeah, the Wizards are the new worst team in basketball because Kyle Kuzma and the fact they lost to the Pistons. And speaking of the Pistons, Jaden Ivey as a lead guard has been so entertaining this season. In 8 games without Cade Cunningham, he is averaging 20 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. He deserves to be valued more by management and teams across the NBA because if he can develop, he'll be an elite player. I mean, he had 32, 6, and 4 against the top-rated Timberwolves defense. Enough said after that. The Spurs. What to say about them that isn't talking about Wemby? Nothing, so we're just going to go to the next teams. The Hornets finally traded Terry Rozier and allowed him to compete, but I also think they need to move Miles Bridges. That way LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller can be the center points of the team without any player taking a huge role outside of those two, because I do believe those two are very good foundational pieces for a duo going forward. The Portland Trailblazers better be active at the trade deadline. They should trade Jeremy Grant if they can, which I do think he'll have a lot of value. Like a team like the Mavericks could use him. And Malcolm Brogdon, he should be gone. Basically, any team wants him. But I want to talk about Anthony Simons, who, based on statistics, I believe he should be the front runner for the clutch player of the year. Now, obviously, I don't think he'll win it, but the statistics I've been seeing, especially after the Nets game, I think he was shooting like 64% in the clutch. Anthony Simons would be the clutch player of the year based on stats alone. I'm not going to lie, I've not been watching Nets games of late for obvious reasons, but I did watch them against the Lakers, and Cam Thomas was locked in. I almost turned the game off because the Lakers looked so much superior than the Nets, but then Cam Thomas checked into the game and made it so entertaining and changed the entire momentum of the game. The level of shot making from him is generational. If he learns how to play team basketball, we are looking at an all-star, but is he going to learn how to do that? Obviously not. The biggest thing for the Raptors that happened this week was the Pascal Siakam trade. All I'm going to say is Bruce Brown fits the team like a glove, but they need to trade him. He has too much value for you not to trade him if you're a rebuilding team. The Rockets are so bad on the road that unless they're playing a bottom 5 team on the road, it is a guaranteed loss. It's so sad, it is funny. But the biggest thing that happened for them was their overtime win against the Jazz, which was their only win of the week, I believe. Sengun went off for 37, 14, and 6. Also worth noting, Cam Whitmore has been cooking off the bench recently, and he even got himself a start against the Celtics. I truly feel really bad for Zach LaVine because 1, he got hurt again after just coming back like a week and a half ago. But 2, he's just a misfit on his team, and it's really sad because he was an all-star caliber player, but he's really fallen off. In case you missed it, the Atlanta Hawks set the asking price for Dejounte Murray at 2 first-round picks this week. But if I were them, I would be asking for a little more simply based on the fact that he has been a monster ever since the trade rumors surrounding him started. I expect there to be a bidding war for him as so many teams need a facilitating shot creator that can also defend. So with Siakam and Anunoby off the market, Dejounte is the biggest name on the market now, and the Hawks need to take advantage of that. I'm not going to talk about any of the Warriors games this week. I just want to take a moment to say, make sure you value your time with your loved ones and tell people you love them because unexpected things can happen. My thoughts and condolences are with the assistant coach's family. Now, the reason I won't say his name is because I can't pronounce it, and I do not want to disrespect him. Rest in peace. The Lakers went back to their old lineup this week, and it worked against everyone but the Nets, and it is because the Lakers shut down as soon as the Nets game got any type of competitive. It was quite embarrassing, but they beat the Thunder and the healthy Mavs, and you can't dwell on mistakes from one game, and they did lose to the Clippers, yes, but LeBron didn't play, and it was still a close game. D'Angelo Russell has been cooking of late, but yeah, obviously we all saw him crying. I don't know, there probably could be something going on in his life rather than on the court and in the basketball world. That's just my personal take on it. I've been telling y'all ever since before the draft, Gigi Jackson. I mean, yes, I called him the next LeBron James. Was that a crazy statement to make? Yes, but he's one of 3 players, and the other 3 players are KD and LeBron, to have back-to-back 20-point performances at age 19 or younger, I do believe. So yeah, he's the next LeBron James still. I stand by that still. But obviously, being the next LeBron takes a lot of work. I'm not expecting it. I'm not counting on it. But I was very high on him as a prospect. And just remember, when we go through this draft process for this upcoming year, there's no consensus for number one like last year. Well, that consensus for number one would have been G.G. Jackson if he didn't reclassify. The Magic are so offensively challenged that the absence of Franz Wagner hurt them so much, but when he came back, they still struggled to score. And I think they really needed to aggressively pursue Terry Rozier, but he's on the Miami Heat now, so I think Malcolm Brogdon is still the best fit for the Magic at this year's deadline. It is really funny how a lot of us became disappointed with Colin Sexton as he showed so much promise early and then fell off quick. And now he is on the Jazz and fully healthy, and he is going off nightly, and it is turning heads, kind of like his teammate Larry Markkinen did last year. And there has to be a correlation between the Utah Jazz and saving nearly failed NBA careers. Obviously, Terry Rozier was traded to the Heat. I did not make a separate video, but I just want to say I love this trade so much for Miami. They needed a point guard, shot creating, facilitating player, and Terry Rozier literally fits that. He's going to help their offense. Rozier, Hero, Butler, Caleb Martin, and Bam. That is an elite starting five. Their bench is deep. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Heat back in the finals because, yeah, Terry Rozier, he's a big moment player. That's what they kind of needed on offense outside of Butler to take pressure off. I'd be really scared of the Heat. The only team that they're not as good as on paper is the Celtics, if you ask me. I really don't have anything to say about the Mavericks, but I do need to say that the box score statistics need to be considered irrelevant because I saw Luka's 33-18-13 stat line all over social media after the Mavs played the Celtics. He was 12 of 30 from the field. That is awful, but Luka has been amazing this year, don't get me wrong. The Indiana Pacers obviously got Pascal Siakam this week. I don't think they've won. No, they haven't won since they got him. But if you want to know my thoughts on this, I'll just link a video at the end. The Kings have looked awful recently because everyone but Sabonis has been terribly inconsistent. Actually, no, everyone's just been consistently bad outside of Sabonis. But the biggest problem is the fact their defense gets torched every night. And that is why I would say they need to trade for an elite defensive stopper. I honestly think the Kings have a situation where one player fixes all the problems, and that one player is Dorian Finney-Smith. Not much to say about the Pelicans this week because no player consistently cooked, but they had multiple players all go off this week. Like Zion had 31 night, Ingram had a triple-double the next night, and then they have Devin Booker drop 50. Obviously that's a joke, but New Orleans needs to have more consistency going forward. Donovan Mitchell has been on an absolute tear recently, and the Cavs have been seeing a lot of success because of that. So today, I will officially announce that Donovan Mitchell will not be traded at this year's trade deadline. After I called my Suns out last week and said they're awful, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant decided to each go on their own tears, 52 points, 40-point games, any type of scoring game you want to say. If talking bad about my Suns means that we're going to win games and go 5-0 every week, 3-0, undefeated every week, I'm going to continue to talk bad about them. So my Suns, we need to lock in the first three quarters and start playing defense in those quarters rather than just saving it all for the fourth quarter. So I have no idea how we won some of the games we won. Like I turned a lot of them off because we were down by 20 with like 8 minutes left, and we somehow managed to win. I'm not complaining, but it's crazy. Jalen Brunson deserves so much more credit than he gets, and he already gets a lot of credit, but the Knicks team without him looked terrible recently. And then he comes back, drops 30-7 against the Rockets in a 15-point win. Next game, he drops 41 on the Wizards in a 4-point win. And then 38-9 against the Raptors. If he gets hurt or teams can figure him out, the Knicks are in trouble, but the Knicks are still looking very good as a team, fully healthy, and OG Anunoby trade has been successful for them so far. In case you missed it, the Bucks fired their coach, Adrian Griffin. I'm not personally surprised by it. I was kind of expecting it because, well, their defense has been abysmal, and a lot of the problems with this team have come from the coaching side of it rather than the players. And like defensive structure, that's a coaching thing rather than, oh yeah, I got good players on defense. I mean, when you go from a backcourt with Drew Holiday and Grayson Allen to Dame and Malik Beasley, is that really an ideal defensive backcourt to have? Obviously not. So you can't put all the blame there, but he did lose the locker room, and that's why he got fired. I wasn't surprised, though. It's sad to see. Hopefully he gets another chance when he gets more experience. He's still fairly young. Obviously, social media has been talking about Anthony Edwards, Naz Reid, and obviously Cat, who had 62. But for the Timberwolves this week, I want to talk about Jaden McDaniels. T-Wolves need him to be a third star on offense. Every elite team in NBA history has an elite two-way star as the first, second, or third option for the most part. If McDaniels can score 18 a game while playing elite defense consistently, I will call the T-Wolves contenders from here on out. But I'm reluctant to because they do not have him playing consistent yet, and they really need that to happen before I can say they are contenders. This week we saw our first Joel Embiid versus Nikola Jokic matchup of the year, and it did not disappoint. But with that matchup, we also had the media spark another Embiid versus Jokic debate. I personally think if Embiid does what he does in the regular season for one postseason, we can entertain the conversation. Because Embiid is easily better in the regular season, if you ask me. And this season, he is even producing the same assist numbers relatively to Jokic, which is what many people use to say Jokic is easily better. So if he goes off in the postseason this year and dominates, now let's be honest, unless the 76ers make a big move, they are not competing with the Celtics in the postseason. But if he can produce in every game and shows up like he's been showing up in the regular season, it isn't as easy for me to say Jokic is better as it is now. I personally really want to say Embiid, though, since I'm a fan of Embiid. I mean, I don't like watching 76ers games when he's going to the line a lot, but you can't just drop 70 points and say somebody has no skill. Yes, it was against the Spurs, but I don't see anyone else dropping 70 on the Spurs. But Joel Embiid, I really want to put him over Jokic. I'm just praying he has one good postseason. Then we can entertain the conversation. But as for now, I do have to say Jokic is better. The OKC Thunder are probably the most talked about team in the media of late, if we're being honest. But I want to talk about J-Dub because I honestly think I figured out who he reminds me of because the way he plays, takes over in the fourth quarter. He can be a point guard. He can initiate offense. Can also play the forward. And he hits a lot of crucial shots down the stretch of games. And he is a mid-range assassin. He reminds me of Chris Middleton when the Bucks won the championship. That's how he's been playing, if you ask me. And I really, really love that comparison. Let me know what your thoughts on that comparison is. Also, let me know your thoughts on Embiid versus Jokic, because I'm not sure if I said that. I don't really want to talk about the Clippers because, yes, the Clippers have been very, very good. I'm not taking that away from them. They had 2 statement wins this week, but this team, we're going to know what's up in the playoffs. We can't say anything until we see it in the playoffs, since they have historically bad playoff luck, and this team has guys that are very, very unlucky. So I don't really want to say anything after this week. And then the Nuggets, we just got to look at this picture. If y'all remember this shot, he stepped back after catching it. He bobbled it, he dribbled it, then he stepped back. 2 people wide open. Now, I know he always says he has to shoot the ball because that's the only thing he's good for. But if this is down the stretch of a game and you miss Jokic and Aaron Gordon with nobody in a 25-foot radius in the postseason, this is problematic. Now, it's always good to have confidence in your three-point shot, but you can't just chuck up a three like this. This was crazy. But all jokes aside, he plays his role extremely well. I just really want to put this picture in and talk about it. But the Nuggets, I mean, they're the best team in the Western Conference, if you ask me. I really don't think it's close right now. The Boston Celtics finally lost at home, and they're the team we're going to talk last about today, as they are number 1 in my rankings. But I do have to say, Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown looked like final postseason form against the Nuggets, so I would have some concern if I was a Celtics fan. Now, if that happens in a 7-game series, every game, then it's worrisome, but not in some regular season games. But yeah, the Celtics are still the best team in basketball, and that's where we're going to end this video. As you can see on the screen, 98% of y'all are not subscribed to this channel, but are still watching the videos. It does help out a lot if you hit the subscribe button. And also, if you see on the screen, my Pascal Siakam instant trade reaction video. Y'all have a good one. Bye.